In today's video, we're going to talk about 5 beginner mistakes you make building pedals. Now, before we begin, I just want to say that this is the last video of the year, and next Monday will be, or Monday, it's going to be the 25th, which is Christmas Day. And even though I don't celebrate Christmas Day, but Christmas Eve, I'm still not going to be making a video. And so, yeah, this will be the last video, and I want to thank everyone so much for all the wonderful things that we've been able to do here together over the year. It's kind of crazy to think that the year is over, but it is, and it's amazing to think that we are here now. And yeah, I just want to, I know it's like a 2.5 months ago or something that we reached 1,000 subscribers, but I'm still kind of blown away by it. And I know we've passed 1,000, but I still feel that it's crazy. Before it happened, I thought it would never happen. So yeah, I just want to thank everyone for subscribing and liking the videos. I want to thank everyone for all the nice and sweet comments that I've been getting, and all the love and support. You guys are awesome, and I really mean it. It's really fun to see. I know I don't have the biggest channel, but it still feels amazing to me that there are so many people who want to watch the videos I do. I realize that some of them are maybe not the most relevant thing. I know there are a lot of you who want pedal videos, and I realize I'm not making just pedal videos, but I still think it's awesome that there's so many of you who still like all the videos. And yeah, there is going to be a video on Monday, but it's just a compilation of everything building the Mikey guitar, because there was so many things I wanted to do to that guitar, and so many weird build things I wanted to add and do, and I never got around to it. I didn't have time to do it, and then we ran out of a year for it. So I'm just, because maybe there's going to be someone who wants something fun and interesting to watch, and who isn't going to spend Christmas Day with family, and want to sit at home and, I don't know, watch a fun video and drink some eggnog or something. And yeah, so you're gonna get that video, and it's technically the last video, but it's, you know, just a compilation of other videos that I've already done. I also want it to be sort of a summarize of this year's video when it comes to that guitar, because if you haven't been catching up and you're watching next year's video on the topic, you might feel like, no, I don't, I wish I'd seen all the other ones and I don't know where to find them. So now, if you're interested, you'll have one really long video to watch. And yeah, I usually do this every year, where I take something that has been spanning over a very long time and I condense it into one video. But with that out of the way, we're going to talk about mistakes. If you don't know this, I've been talking to, I'm not going to say a lot of you, but quite few who are building pedals and beginning to build pedals, and talking to you and looking at the pictures you've sent me and things like that. I've come up with 5 things that I feel is beginner things that you could learn from. Mistakes that we all do. I've done all these mistakes myself, and I'm not using the mistakes that you've done to shame anyone or anything like that, so hopefully no one gets mad at me for showing these things. I'm obviously not going to show any pictures that anyone has sent or anything like that, because that's not the point. The point is that if you're watching this and you're starting to build pedals or something like that, then maybe this can help you look out for things that you might run into. It can help maybe with frustration if you're building something and you feel like, it's not working, and then you have this checklist of things that is common mistakes, and you can go through that and maybe you figure out what it is. There are also sort of habit things. I feel like if you can just get these things to be the back of your bones, I don't know why that came into my head, but anyway, then maybe you can maybe you can have it with you whenever you're building something to check for these things and make sure that things are good. And maybe that will help you not run into a lot of issues. But do keep in mind that, things not working the first time around is a part of it. There is so many times that I've built stuff here and I've cut out all the swearing and all the annoyingness and all the time I've had to run back and forth and check things and try things and plug in a guitar and an amp and being like, no, it doesn't work. I'll have to reshoot the entire video because I showed everything the wrong way. So yeah, I don't usually show that much of that. Sometimes you see a little bit of mistakes, but not when I feel like it compromises the entire video. And yeah, we all do mistakes, so hopefully no one takes offense or anything like that, because it's really not meant for that. It's just 5 common things that I've seen, and not everyone is doing all of these. They're cherry picking from all different kinds of conversations. So yes, let's jump into this list with number 1: clean solder joints. So to some of you this is going to be obvious, but if you're a beginner it might not be. A really good habit is to always be cleaning your tip. You solder a little bit, you do some connections, you clean the tip, you make sure everything looks nice, and you make sure your joints look correct. If you have weird black spots or brown spots in your soldering joints or on your solder on the tip, you're not going to get a clean connection. You want everything to look chrome. You could think about a pickguard cover for a Telecaster neck pickup as your golden standard or whatever for how your solder joints are supposed to look. And to just get into the habit of having your cleaning station, whatever sort you use, and your tip, and just going in and just dabbing it a little bit like this and looking at the tip and making sure it's nice and clean. And you can see how everything is sort of dull on this, but the tip right there that I use, that's still clean. And I do need to get a new soldering tip, but that's maybe for next year, because I'm not going to do any soldering now. And you should think about that as well. Like sometimes you have a protective coating on your tip, and if you feel like it's hard to get solder into the tip, you might have to replace it. So look up what sort of tip you need for your soldering iron and maybe think about replacing it. It's okay to replace the tip. I think you're not bad at soldering because you have to do it even if you've only had the soldering iron for 6 months or something. Color coding wires. Okay, so this one I talk about in every video that I make with pedals, obviously, not maybe in wood carving, and that's that color coding. Getting into the habit of using black wires for grounds and red wires for power, the positive powers, and maybe blue or green or something like that for your lead signals. And having a system in place for how you're doing things is great. Like, it will help you so much if you're like, well, all my input signals are blue. Okay, good. Now you can check them and see, are they going exactly where you want them? Sometimes I see pictures where the in and the out are flipped, and no wonder things doesn't work. So that's such an easy mistake to make, so don't feel bad about doing it. I've done it so many times. The first 5 years of guitar building, for example, I would always confuse the output on the guitar and put the ground on the lead and the lead on the ground, and I would always have that mistake. I would always go to test the guitar and plug it into an amp, and I would be like, why isn't it working? And then I'd open it up and I'd be like, oh, I did that mistake again. And eventually you stop making that mistake and you start you learn. And sometimes you learn exactly what sort of mistakes you always do, so you know exactly what you have to look out for first, because you're like, I thought I did that, and I didn't. I did the mistake again, even though I know I shouldn't be doing this mistake anymore. I'm too old to make these silly little mistakes or whatever, but you do them. So color coding and using different colors for different things is really, really important. And you don't have to have the same for every pedal you build. For example, if you run out of blue wires and you want to build something, you can use green wires, but keep in mind to have this, like, no, I'm using different colors for different things. Drawing things neatly. Okay, so this one might seem a little bit silly to some of you, but if you're going to draw out a schematic or draw out a plan for how you're building something, make sure you do it as neatly as you can. If you think that you might, after 2 months, look back on this and not know what you've actually drawn out, then you need to think about doing it a more neatly way. For example, a lot of you have sent me pictures where every wire you've drawn out is black. And I understand that you're just doing with a regular pencil on a piece of paper or something like that, and you're sending me it. But making sure that you're actually drawing everything out and that you write out what everything is and that you're using different colored markers or something for different wires, it helps me, because sometimes I look at what you've drawn and I'm like, I can't make heads or tails out of this. But it also will help you. And I think it mostly will help you in the way that if you're conscious about what you're drawing, you're gonna see if you're making any mistakes, because you're like, oh, here's the lead and it goes from the input to this input and then it goes to this output. Wait, it's not supposed to go to this output, right? And then you can see your own mistake while you're doing it, because you're keeping everything neat. And having to think about making things neat will make you have to think about all the steps in more detail. So it helps you. So take a look at what you're drawing and make sure you do it the best way you can. I'm not saying that you should, have to go to art school and learn how to paint portraits or something like that, but make sure that you, instead of doing let's use this for example. Like, for example, here is a diode that I've drawn. I'm not saying that anyone sent me a picture like this, but this could be misinterpreted for a sloppily made capacitor, while this is pretty hard to see as something else than a diode, right? Or at least I think so. And that's what I mean. Like, if you know that you're going to put a resistor or a diode or something in a place in between something, draw it out somewhat neatly. And you can, for example, this is something that I've done sometimes. If I know that I'm putting in a resistor and I've drawn out something that looks like this, and I know I want a resistor there, but maybe I don't know what value, but I want to remind myself that, hey, this is a resistor, it's not something else, don't mistake this for a diode or a capacitor or anything. I can actually just write an R in it, like so. And I know that there's probably someone who's going to say, oh, well, these are all new tips, but that's the point. It is new. You're a beginner, you're starting out, you want to learn how to do stuff, and you want to be somewhat successful, because obviously if you build 10 pedals and none of them works, then you're going to get bored of it and you're going to think that you're stupid or something, and that's not true. Definitely not stupid. And you should make drawings and things that helps you build things that works for you. You don't have to follow along with anyone else's tips. Obviously, you can listen to my tip here and see if it works for you, but if it doesn't, you don't need to use it. You should, do things the way that works for you. Testing parts to see if it works. Okay, so this is also another thing that is pretty common, and I do this mistake myself as well. So don't think that it's that you're the only one. And also, I've spoken to several of you, so you're not the only one, right? I'm looking at you, Simon. I don't even know why I said that. There is no Simon. I mean, there definitely is a couple of Simons, but anyway, testing parts and making sure they work is a really good habit to have. I don't really have this habit, to be honest. I wish I had, but a great habit is to be like, okay, well, I know what I'm going to use. I have a little tray that I put all my parts in, and I'm going to take a multimeter. And if you don't have a multimeter, it's a perfect thing to wish from Santa to give you as a Christmas gift, to get a multimeter. It's, I think you need a multimeter. I understand that some of you are really new to this and you just want to build something and see if it works, and then you want to decide if this is a hobby for you or if this is maybe something that you're going to leave for the professionals or something. Obviously, if you think it's fun to build stuff, I think you should build them whether or not you are good at it or not. I mean, that's not the point. That's why I don't really do demos, because I feel like that's not really the point. I have to show you that things work, so you know that if you follow along on my steps, you'll get the same results, hopefully. But I'm not a demo channel, and it's not my thing to like trying to convince you. That's another thing. When I get sometimes comments of people are like, well, why would you build this when you could buy this pedal or something like that? And I'm like, I'm not trying to convince anyone to do anything. That's not my point. My point is, this is fun. If you don't think it's fun to build anything, then you're barking up the wrong tree. You're not supposed to torture yourself into making pedals. And yeah, that's all I really have to say about that. I sometimes get comments of people who think that like I'm trying to convince you of how to do stuff, but I'm just trying to show you things that I've found that I think is cool. But yeah, test the parts before and make sure they work, because it's super annoying to have, for example, an LM board, the fuzz pedal thing, and you build the entire thing and you follow all the steps that I show you and everything is correct. And then I tell you, well, have you tried the board just on its own, just 2 jacks? And you come back to me and you tell me, oh, I think this one is broken from the factory. And I'm like, just do everything you just did again, but with another board. But try it first and see if it works. And then you guys come back to me happy, like, hey, I got it to work. So it's fun and it's awesome, and I really like it. I really enjoy it when that happens, because it's like, I didn't have to really do anything, and you guys are super happy that I helped you, which is always fun, because I feel like I get to take credit for nothing. Bridge connections. Okay, so the last thing before I go is a super common one, is the connections on, for example, the LM boards are so tiny, and it's super easy to bridge the connections with a bit of solder and put a wire in 2 places when you only wanted to put it in 1. So you need to look really close at things. And sometimes the connections are easier to see what sort of things you might have bridged than others. I actually have the lens from a microscope that I can look through, so I can look at things when they are really small, just to be sure. Some of these things are really small. The LM boards are not so much, but there are other things that are really small. So make sure that you don't bridge any connections on anything, and that you're not doing anything weird. Like, I don't know, maybe you have an power and a input on the same really close to each other, and you're connecting them with the solder and therefore messing everything up, for example. That could happen, maybe, sometimes. So that's 5 tips for you. I hope this inspires you and helps you. And if you're stuck maybe, and you're like, I have this pedal that I have to get done before Christmas because I'm giving it to my bass player or something, or lover. Actually, bass players are the best lovers, just so you guys know. But anyway, that's for another video, I think. Yeah, I hope this helps. And if it does, or if you have any other tips that you want to share with beginners, write them below and talk to me in the comments below as well if you want to, or over on Instagram. I feel like Instagram has become a really good place for us to chat one-on-one if you have something that is troubling you. Obviously, I'm talking about pedals now. I mean, if you want advice on life, you can talk to me on there as well, but I don't know if I'm the best person to talk those things. Anyway, never mind. I'm starting to ramble now because I don't know how to end this video. And yeah, I'm just gonna go now. I have cakes to make, actually. So I'm gonna go now. And I hope you're all having an amazing and wonderful Christmas or holidays, you know, whatever it is you're celebrating or not celebrating. Take care of yourselves, and have an awesome time, and spend at least some time with people that matters to you in some way. And I'll see you in the next year. Thanks so much for watching, and until next time, stay awesome and cool. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to all of you. Yes?
Come with me!
Okay, where are we going?
Into the next year! Woo.
Slow down, don't walk so fast.
Come along now!
Wait up.
Come along now! Come along, slow down, come on, slow down.